Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive, bringing you guys a long anticipated series back once again, Road to Regionals, Hartford, Connecticut, where we basically climb the online VGC ladder, we learn how to play VGC, and we ultimately will be competing in Hartford, Connecticut at the Regionals for 2018, where the season is just getting kicked off here. And Worlds just ended, and that's really, really awesome. I had a blast last time learning the VGC format. If you guys remember, we ultimately started at the beginning of the year. I competed, I practiced, I worked with some of the best VGC players in the world, and we competed in the ONOG tournament where I actually was under drive, and we actually had some pretty good success there. I ultimately went to St. Louis, and I vlogged the whole experience. Finished up going 5-4, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but for my first regional, I had an absolute blast. So this series is about me learning the format, teaching you guys the format, and bringing out some of the best VGC players in the world to teach us both so we can have a good time. Hopefully encourage you to come out to an event sometime, and hopefully I'll get to see you guys in Hartford, which is where this series will finally reach its conclusion. But it wouldn't be Road to Regionals if I didn't have an amazing guest on, especially on our first episode. Very excited to bring him back on for I don't know how many times, maybe 3-4 times now. But we've got the 2016 World Champion of VGC and finished top 16 this past season in 2017, my good friend Wolfe Glick.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan. It is great to be back.
I'm very glad to have you, man. I'm very glad to have you. So on this episode, guys, we're going to be doing a little bit of chatting here, me and Wolfe, and then we're going to jump into a few battles. So I hope you guys are excited to hear his insight. I really want to get kind of his perspective before we jump into battles, because this is our first episode, and we have someone who has a ton of experience. So, you know, we're going to do that. So first of all, hit that like button down below. Definitely subscribe if you're new, and please be sure to check out Wolfe's channel in the description below. But Wolfe, so you came off a 2016 World Championship. I know that was awesome for you. We talked about that last season, but you know, what was it like competing this year in Worlds again, finishing top 16? Give us kind of your thoughts on that. You know, what ultimately do you think got you to the top 16, and then what do you think kind of left you just a tiny bit short from finishing in the finals again?
Ooh, yeah, so
tough questions already.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I would have loved to go deeper, right? Like, I feel like I had the ability to make a deeper run. But I was really, honestly, I was happy with placing in top 16. I was happy to make it that far. Overall, my season this year wasn't as good as some of my other seasons has been. And it felt like a lot of people going into Worlds didn't really expect a lot from me. I was only qualified for day one, and I actually lost the first round of day one, like without winning a game. I lost both games to a player named Pepin. And so starting off the tournament that way was kind of disheartening. And so to be able to claw it back, I won after that first loss. I won my next 16 games like consecutively without dropping a single one.
Wow.
Which like I was happy with. And yeah, and to make it into the top cut again, I made it through the first round of top cut. It was like there was like 19 people in top cut, so we had to play like an elimination round to get it down to 16. And then the match that I got knocked out in, it was a rough matchup, but also my opponent played really well. And at the end of the day, like I was pretty, out of all the worlds that I've played in, this is my 7th Worlds that I've played in, and this is the one I was like the least prepared for, because I like last year, what my goal was, I was trying to break the format, and this year that I don't really think that's possible, and I didn't realize that until like way too close, like up, like right up against Worlds, where I was like, oh, maybe I can't break the format, so all this work I've been doing to try and do that is kind of wasted. So I wasn't super prepared. I kind of made my team at the last minute, and to be able to kind of like learn on the fly and adapt and figure out how to play it during the tournament, I'm happy with how I played. And even though like I did lose, I lost to a player who he played really well, so I'm not too upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shame, dude, finishing top 16, you know,
yeah,
after coming off a World Championship, and you know, you've been in that situation many, many times. You said it's your 7th World Championship that you've competed in, so that's just pretty impressive in general. And I think it's interesting you talked about breaking the format, and that was one thing I had you on after you won the World Championship, you know, last year, and that was so one of the big things that was so interesting about your team is it was so anti-metagame, right? It was very, very much so countering what the standard team was, and it's interesting that you said that you couldn't figure out, or there wasn't really a way to do that in this metagame. Why do you think that's the case? And maybe give your thoughts in terms of kind of the team building process that ultimately led you to decide, hey, listen, maybe there is no way for me to kind of go counter against. Is it just because the diversity? Like aside from Arcanine, it just seems like there's so many mons that are pretty viable. Is that really what you think it was?
I think that's exactly what it was. Like, so basically when you think about VGC 16, it was like, it had its problems, but one of the defining features for the majority of the year was it was like teams were relatively similar to each other. There were like a couple big archetypes and Groudon Kyogre and some Kyogre Rayquaza, and then some off meta, like ones like the Xerneas Rayquaza was the most popular one that wasn't like standard, I would say. But for the most part, it was like that was kind of the meta game. And so it was a lot easier to counter like those archetypes because they were all like each of the archetypes was pretty similar to itself. Whereas this year, like everything was more or less, all the good Pokemon were more or less at the same level. There wasn't anything except for like maybe Tapu Koko and like Snorlax that was like really like significantly far above the other Pokemon in the format. And so because of that, like pretty much anything was viable. And when you were building, you could pretty much throw anything together. And so it's like there wasn't like any defined thing to counter because what you played at a tournament was really just like down to the matchups, like literally luck of the draw. And there wasn't like you couldn't like for example I didn't play a single like one of the main archetypes of the format. I didn't play a single one at Worlds. And the one that like dominated U.S. Nationals, that archetype or like that quote unquote archetype. I think I played one in like I don't know like I played like 6 + 7 + 2 and like 15 rounds I played like one, which is very different than last year obviously. So that's I think kind of why there's not really a format to break because it's not organized. It's all just kind of random. You know, you could play against Garchomp, Arcanine, Celesteela, Tapu Koko, or you could play against version Porygon Z, and there's not really like
there's a lot of viability.
What you play again.
Now, just out of curiosity, do you think that is a good thing for competitive Pokemon VGC? That there is so many viable options? I can tell you personally, that was something that really appealed to me, at least jumping into VGC 2017, was the idea that there wasn't like a defined kind of team that was dominating. We saw some regionals where, that P2 Araquanid squad was really putting in the work with the Spider, and then we saw some other where, obviously the Arcanine Finny Kartana core was super big, which is what you ended up rocking. A lot of people bringing Gigalith in there, fake PG, right? Was that what it was?
Exactly.
So all these different acronyms for these different team compositions, but do you think it's ultimately good for the VGC scene that there was such diversity in 2017? And furthering that question, do you think that, or do you hope for 2018's format to follow similar suit?
I think for me, VGC 16 and VGC 17 were like two opposite ends of the spectrum, and neither were ideal. Like VGC 16 didn't have enough diversity, and there wasn't really enough room for creativity. Although, like in the end, like we were able to be somewhat creative, but like in general, I don't think there was enough room for creativity. And VGC 17 is like, I personally I don't enjoy that it's so formless that like it's not defined by anything. It's just like there's this pool of 50 viable Pokemon, and like you could literally play anything. And like as I understand that, like as a player who's like getting into it, that's really cool because so many more Pokemon are viable. But as like a competitive player, it's rather annoying because like for me, a lot of the tournaments this season felt like if you replayed the tournament, the same person wouldn't win because it comes down to like matchups and like like a few like really important calls because like you can't have a good matchup against like everything, which is, I mean, in general that's hard to do in Pokemon, but the fact that there's like no defining qualities about the metagame other than like certain Pokemon, but there's no like there's a few cores, but those cores are even flexible like among themselves. Like for example, like we were talking about the Arcanine Finny Kartana core, like that's a core that was traditionally used with Gigalith and Porygon 2 and Tapu Koko, but I took that core and I added it with like Snorlax and Mimikyu and Tokenimaru, which like plays very, very differently. And like so like this metagame, I think like what I realized after Worlds or like during Worlds was that like you just need a team that has like, if you want to do well, you just need a team that like has enough tools that like if you play well you can beat anything, rather than like focusing on your matchups. Like you're gonna have good matchups, you're gonna have bad matchups, but like it really comes down to playing in the end, in my opinion. And I personally like I would prefer to have a little bit more structure in the metagame and a little bit more like goals like while team building in terms of like actually like beating stuff. But I think I'd rather have something closer to 17 than to 16, but it's still too far for me. I'd rather have like a bit more of a few more defining features, Sorry, that was all over the place, but yeah.
No, totally understand. It's nice to get your perspective and then kind of hear, like I said, a little bit different of a perspective as someone who's kind of newer into the scene. So last question before we kind of jump into it, because I definitely want to jump into my first battles. Technically, I don't know if it's considered 2018 season yet, but my first battles to prep for Hartford here. And but I do have one last question. What was your ultimate motivation to pick Togedemaru, and did I have any impact on that?
Oh no!
I have to ask. It's okay if not. Okay, but I have to ask.
So I think Oh, so I guess the overall answer is you didn't necessarily influence me, but you may have influenced the metagame, and the metagame may have influenced me, if that makes sense.
I like it. I'll
yeah,
take
so,
that.
like,
I'll take that. I just want to know that
yeah.
I made even the tiniest bit of a ripple in the VGC community.
Yeah, I mean, you were honestly one of the first people to use it. So I don't think that's too far, because like for me, I was like, okay, like I want to stop Tapu Koko because that's a real problem for my team, and like I want to do it. I want I want to pick one of the Tapu Koko is really hard to stop because it has Volt Switch and it's really fast. So like you can either Scarf a Pokemon and try and outspeed it, but that's kind of lazy, or you can have a ground type, but it can use the Volt Switch for other Pokemon, or you can have a Pokemon with Lightning Rod, which is what I chose to do because it really limits Tapu Koko's ability to do something. And so that leaves you with Marowak or Togedemaru, and I don't like Marowak very much because it's super frail and it's like best move has a lot of recoil. And I mean, Togedemaru is not bulkier than Marowak, but at least it can hold a Focus Sash so it doesn't get one shot by stuff. And because it's Fake Out, and like it's faster and has Encore, it's like even though its stats aren't bulkier, it's able to stick around longer. And on a team like this, I was using Togedemaru for like support for Tapu Fini, and Kartana and Arcanine as well. And so maybe if you maybe I wouldn't even have considered Togedemaru if you hadn't like used it and beaten me with it, and then if the metagame hadn't adopted it. So I don't really know exactly where that came from, but yeah, I was mainly looking at a way to hard counter Tapu Koko, and Togedemaru was what I came up with.
I'll take that as an answer, man. It's good enough for me. So
yes.
Let's get into our first battle here. Wolf's going to kind of guide us through the team process here. We're going to be grabbing a battle. I'm going to be using his QR code. So we'll do a quick cut until I get to the first battle. And then Wolf's going to kind of give his thoughts on what he would do for the matchup and so on and so forth like we normally would. So sit tight. All right, guys, so we're back, and we're ready to rock. I've got his awesome team here with his Tapu Fini, his Arcanine, Togedemaru, which I know is carrying a Focus Sash. I think you ended up having Ghostium Z on your Mimikyu, right, with Destiny Bond?
Yes.
Is it AV Kartana?
Sorry, what was the last part?
What's the Kartana set?
It's Grassium Z with Substitute.
Okay, Grassium Z, and then I know it's a Belly Drum, Curse, Recycle, Frustration, Snorlax, but because it's a QR team, the Snorlax isn't going to have maxed out Frustration stats. And then the Tapu Fini is Specs or Berry?
Specs Tapu Fini.
Yeah, and Arcanine has a Berry as well, I'm assuming?
Yes, yeah,
okay,
Helping
cool.
Hand, Berry, Arcanine, yeah.
Cool, so the Helping Hand is really cool. Was there any specific calcs that Helping Hand really made a difference that kind of ultimately pushed you to go that route?
Helping Hand, because I didn't really love Helping Hand because I wasn't using it a ton, but in the end, I didn't want to use Will-O-Wisp for Toxic because I had Tapu Fini, and I thought Bulldoze was too situational because I couldn't protect with Tapu Fini, which is the main Pokemon that benefits from Bulldoze. So in the end, I was like, all right, we'll just use Helping Hand, but it comes in handy, especially with Specs Tapu Fini.
Yeah, Specs Tapu Fini was a pretty core part of that team that I ultimately competed with last season at St. Louis. Was the Tapu Fini and Togedemaru. I just absolutely loved running that Specs Tapu Fini. So we got our first match against the 1604 from Japan. So let's take a look at what he's brought. He's got his Sabrina Double Duck here. So I'm sure you ran into this matchup at least some point in your testing. So what do you typically do against a Double Duck team? Is this where Togi D comes in handy to kind of fake something out, or?
Yeah, you're going to lead with Tapu Fini here for sure. This is actually the team that won Japanese Nationals. You're probably going to want... basically, the team relies on... Hang on, this is actually tricky. You're not bringing Mimikyu here, but you have to pick... Oh, okay, this is actually... Okay, it's actually bad because normally you'd bring Snorlax here and just use Frustration to 2-hit KO the Ducks, but because we're not max power, it actually makes a big difference.
Okay.
So why don't we do Tapu Fini? Let's do Togedemaru here as well.
Okay.
Front, and let's bring Kartana in the back, and let's bring Arcanine as well because that'll give us at least something else for the Metagross. And the Garchomp with Choice Scarf here. I forgot what the Coco's item is. But
okay. So we're gonna lead Tapu Fini, Togedemaru. We'll get that kicked off here, and that was a big common lead in my team in St. Louis too. Is the Choice Specs Tapu Fini with the Togedemaru, but I ran mine with an Air Balloon because I was pairing it with the Scarf Garchomp. So the Focus Sash is really cool though, and I like the fact mine was max HP, max speed, but yours is max attack. So those Zing Zaps actually make a huge impact because Togi D is hitting really really hard against things like Tapu Fini and even against the Ducks here in this case. So we'll see what they end up. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we'll see what they end up leading with, but the Double Duck lead is possible.
Yes, yeah. This is I feel like this matchup is okay. Again, it would be nice to bring Snorlax, but without max power Frustration, we really can't. Okay, Coco Metagross. That's actually fine. That's actually totally fine.
Okay, cool. So, and I would assume obviously Fake Out here is a really good option. It doesn't really feel like Coco's much of a threat unless he's carrying Discharge, which that seems kind of unlikely on the team that he's running. Actually, not necessarily. He does have the Garchomp combo. But, you know, Fake Out seems pretty good here on one of the targets. Then I would probably go with a Muddy Water. But what would you particularly Fake Out here? What would your play be?
I think that's a good call. I think Muddy Water is definitely solid here. His only resist is Serena, and we do have 2 Pokemon in the back that do really well against it. So I think locking into Muddy Water is fine. I would Fake Out the Metagross here because, first of all, I think it might be Assault Vest. I can't remember, but I think there's actually a pretty good chance that it is Assault Vest. And second of all, Tapu Koko isn't really a threat with Togedemaru on the field, unless it's Discharge or Skydrop or Nature's Madness. But yeah, I think Fake Out into Metagross is solid.
Okay, cool. So we'll just kick off the first turn there. He is actually going to protect with his Koko, so that works out really well because we're going to nullify the ability for the Metagross to really do anything this turn by getting the Fake Out off, which is going to just guarantee a nice Muddy Water in that thing's face. And because the Koko is running Protect, that also leads me to believe that it's less likely that he has Discharge as well, just from a move slot syndrome kind of perspective, because he's probably got Dazzling Gleam. And based on that damage, I'm going to expect that Metagross to also be Assault Vest, like you mentioned, because that's a Specs Fini.
That's the Assault Vestiest Metagross I ever saw. Yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly good analysis. I think we lock into Muddy Water here again. Again, he doesn't really have good switches for it. The question is, we can go for, so if we can Zing Zap here into Metagross, but we're not going to KO. But I think it might still be a good move because that way we'll put Metagross into KO range for something later, and also we know it can't Protect. And even if he targets Togedemaru, that just means that Tapu Fini still has full health, which is pretty good.
Yeah, not to mention the 30% flinch chance, which is always nice. So he will break the Sash on our Togedemaru here with that Dazzling Gleam, but Togi D's typing really comes in handy. And we see that it's a Life Orb Tapu Koko. Zing Zap does have a 30% flinch chance here, so that could be really clutch. And it actually looks like the Muddy Water may put us in KO range there because we did get a critical hit. So that's going to end up being a really awesome turn for us. Hopefully picking up the KO with the Muddy Water onto the Metagross, which it does. And we get a nice accuracy drop on Tapu Koko. So it seems like I'm kicking off this new season with quite a bit of luck here, which I will gladly take any day of the week. But yeah, so pretty straightforward stuff here, like you mentioned. Do you I'm a little surprised though that my opponent didn't lead Double Duck. I kind of figured that was going to be his lead, but here comes the Garchomp kind of coming out onto the field, and that does leave our Togedemaru vulnerable, and it also leaves Tapu Fini vulnerable, so we kind of have a little bit of a tough decision here. I'm leaning towards going for a Muddy Water plus a Spiky Shield just to keep Togi D on the field for another turn. But what would you do here?
I think Arcanine has to come in here, even though we're most likely going to eat an Earthquake. The only question is, do we want to bring him in for Fini or for Togi? And I think we should lock into Muddy Water and switch Togedemaru to Arcanine because
you reset the Fake Out.
You reset the Fake Out. He's not going to use an Electric move this turn. He's probably going to lock himself into Earthquake, which is okay. But really, at the end of the day, we're trying to set up for Kartana. I'm pretty sure that this Garchomp is Choice Scarf, because he has a Z move on his Golduck for sure, and Scarf Garchomp just was on the original team with the team as well. So with all that in mind, with him being Scarf Chomp, we're just trying to get into a situation where we can bring in Kartana in the end game and go for a Bloom Doom into the Garchomp and KO it. So putting Koko in Koko's already in extreme speed range, so that's a good shot. And then just doing a little bit of damage to Garchomp just in case it's bulky would be good as well.
So he's going to protect with the Koko, so that means he's probably going to lock himself in an Earthquake here. And because of that Intimidate, that actually, we should be able to live this pretty well with our Tapu Fini and do quite a bit of damage with Muddy Water to him. And Arcanine's not going to really take a ton because of the ability to have that Intimidate to kind of lower the attack. And like you mentioned, now that Koko is vulnerable and is in extreme speed range, I'm assuming this is an Adamant Arcanine offensive?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. And we get another critical hit.
Yeah, so I think we just Muddy Water Extreme Speed here. He can switch, but then he'll take a good chunk of damage from Extreme Speed plus Muddy Water and Earthquake as well. And then if he stays in, we'll get rid of the Koko, and once Koko goes down, we do expect, well, actually, if he stays in, he'll have to Earthquake himself, so he's probably switching into Sarina or Pelipper here. And if he brings in Pelipper, then we'll KO his Garchomp with Muddy Water. Oh, or he can do this, yeah.
Yeah, he's actually going to switch out. He goes into Serena. Queenly Majesty, I'm assuming, does not block priority to the partner, does it?
I totally forgot, Dan. I'm so sorry. I always forget about that.
That's okay. He is going to go. He misses because of the Muddy Water damage. Oh, my God. I love it. I love it. That was amazing. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. No, it's okay. I didn't realize that Queenly Majesty protected the partner, but now I know. So that's good to know. That's good. Yeah. That's a good learning lesson here.
I always do that. Every single time I fight Serena, I use Fake Out or Extreme Speed. Yeah, wow.
That's kind of funny though.
That's really funny. Okay, in this situation, I think I think we should protect Arcanine and just let Feeny go down because like we're gonna want to save Arcanine to get rid of this arena. So just muddy watering and protecting. We're almost certainly gonna lose Feeny here, but I think that's okay.
Okay, and we are in a situation where Fake Out will not work with Serena on the field, so we do have to kind of keep that in mind as well.
Exactly.
So we'll have to kind of make some interesting plays here, but he's gonna probably have to lock himself in Earthquake. So we'll see if that's the decision he makes. Or maybe he'll Rock Slide away here as well. He's gonna Earthquake, so he will lock himself in Earthquake, which will do damage to the Serena. Not a ton, because it is a grass type and does have a pretty decent amount of physical bulk. But that's probably gonna knock out. Oh no, Finny lives, so he'll probably drop kick us to the face then. But we do get the Muddy Water off first, which is really nice. So that Serena's got no speed investment. Of course, Serena at base 72 speed, I believe, whereas Finny's sitting at base 85. So if he doesn't have speed investment, he's like a bulky Serena. He will drop kick us, and that will be the end of Tapu Fini. So there goes that, but getting that Muddy Water off and getting rid of the Garchomp really does kind of seal the fate of this match at this point in the time, because we could just send out, we could just easily send out Kartana here. And we know Arcanine's gonna be faster.
So like if his Serena was faster, we were still okay because we would have sent in Kartana. We would have lost Feeny without KOing, but then we would have sent in Kartana, gone for a Bloom Doom into the or Leaf Blade into the Garchomp, and then switched Arcanine into Togedemaru, sacrificed Togedemaru, and then brought Arcanine back in later to get an Intimidate off, and then we would have won the game from there. But yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna just forfeit the match because Flare Blitz would have done him in either way. So we'll pick up our first win here on the back of Wolfe Glick, holding our hands here, helping hand, I guess. So I'll take it, man. So pretty good match there. We obviously had a lot of hacks in our favor, but you can kind of see how the team kind of operates there, especially without. It was interesting to not be able to use the Snorlax there against Double Duck. He kind of ran his secondary mode, it looked like, but. Pretty cool stuff. So we'll grab another one here, and we'll see how that one goes. See if we can keep the win streak alive, man. Very few times have I had a guest on and we've been able to win both matches. So let's do it again.
I believe, dude. I think we can definitely do it.
I think so too, man. I think we have a good chance here. We'll see what happens, but we'll snag a second match here. I'm climbing up the ladder, guys, at 15-20. Do you find yourself doing a lot of ladder matches for practice, or do you typically like spend a lot of time on Showdown when you practice?
I really hate Showdown for practicing. It's actually the worst. But like this time, what I ended up doing for Worlds is like I didn't really have a ton of time, so I did like a lot of best of 3 practice versus friends, which is helpful.
All right,
oh my god.
Cool team. He's got the Vanillux with a Nihilego and a couple things. So let me make a note here. Nihilego, he's got the Vanillux. Champ, Coco, Celesteela, Arcanine.
This is really a pain.
This is a fun one, man.
Let's do Kartana. I think we want Kartana, Tapu Fini, Arcanine, Togedemaru, but I'm not sure the order. I think I want Kartana up front because it threatens like. Let's do Kartana, Fini, Arcanine, Togedemaru, and if he leads Garchomp, we're just gonna have to improvise. But hopefully he's not gonna lead Garchomp.
All right.
Yeah.
So do you find that with this team, a lot of the time you typically like you bring Mimikyu Snorlax as a pair, or do you bring Snorlax solo when you see a Trick Room team? Like, kind of maybe explain the thought behind Mimikyu Snorlax there. Is that really like counter Trick Room, or is it, do they always come as a pair, like just for people who are kind of watching?
If you bring Mimikyu, you're almost always bringing Snorlax, but if you bring Snorlax, you don't always bring Mimikyu, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you bring it as like counter Trick Room, right?
You can use it as counter Trick Room. I actually use it a lot when their team was kind of like in the mid-speed range, where like you could Z Destiny Bond, redirect all their attacks so Snorlax didn't take any damage, and go for a Belly Drum, and then Trick Room. Well, that's bad. Actually, no, that's fine.
So
that's actually fine.
Yeah, so interesting lead here. He's going to lead Arcanine Garchomp, which obviously does drop immediately the attack stat of Kartana, but we're in a situation where like our Tapu Fini does threaten the Arcanine unless he's carrying Wild Charge.
Arcanine. That's a really fast Arcanine. It's not supposed to outspeed our Tapu Fini.
So
it might have Wild Charge.
Yeah, he probably, if he's running like a super offensive one, he probably does. So I'm assuming we're going to get out of there with our Kartana, maybe make a switch into Arcanine there, and then kind of Muddy Water.
I think I'm gonna move. Let's go for Moonblast here because Garchomp's a real problem for this team. We can deal with Arcanine like later, but if we can get rid of Garchomp here, that's gonna put us in a good position.
So switching to Arcanine and then Moonblast.
Yeah, it's risky because there's a chance he just goes for Z Ground and Wild Charge, but I think we should just take the risk because because we're running out of time. Like if I could redo it, I might go Togedemaru in for the Arcanine slot where Arcanine's coming in, but yeah, just Moonblast the Garchomp for now.
Okay, we'll see what happens. we'll see how this goes. But Kartana's gonna swap out. That's gonna get our Arcanine in, which is gonna drop the attack stat of both Pokemon, both being physical attackers, the Arcanine and the Garchomp. So that may come in handy, but like you said, if he does go for like a Ground EMZ or a Wild Charge, like doubles into Tapu Fini, but he's actually gonna protect Garchomp here and likely Wild Charge into the Tapu Fini, I'm gonna guess.
Oh, maybe it's Bulldoze. That would actually.
Oh wow, we're gonna see a Flare Blitz here into what was the Kartana slot. So that actually isn't a bad turn for us.
Yeah, we actually take those to the bank. You're right. Muddy Water would have been better, like looking back, but I still think if we get rid of Garchomp, we're in a much better position here. But yeah, let's get Arcanine. Let's get Arcanine out of here. So, do you want to go into Kartana again, Dan, and threaten a potential Nihilego switch in, or do you want to go into Togedemaru and threaten Fake Out?
I'm kind of like. I actually kind of want to go into Togedemaru because I think that he's going to fire off a Ground EMZ here, and I think that Togedemaru will redirect the potential Wild Charge that he might be going for if he tries to double into Tapu Fini.
I can take Togedemaru as well. It's also good to have Fake Out pressure. And even though it's likely he just goes into Celesteela or Nihilego now, let's just Moonblast the Garchomp anyway, because again, like he can't do that much damage with his Arcanine, so it's kind of just keeping the position neutral.
He actually switches out Arcanine, so
Celesteela boys, yep.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe he would try to double into the Tapu Fini slot, but let's see if he stays in with that Garchomp. Looks like he's going to stay in with it, obviously, because Arcanine switched out first. But let's see what he decides to do. He's gonna Ground EMZ, but does he target down the Togi D slot, or does he target down the Tapu Fini slot? If he targets down the Tapu Fini slot, I don't know what the EV spread is, but I think we would live a -1.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It should do about 60%, I would guess, if he targets Tapu Fini. But I think this is actually into Arcanine.
Yeah, okay, so Togi D hangs on with his Focus Sash, so that wasn't a bad situation. I mean, Kartana could have been a decent switch in there, just because it's got a lot of, obviously, physical defense, but either way, we're going to live that no problem. Moonblast's going to come off this, I'm assuming kills Garchomp, unless he's like AV, but we know he already used Protect, so we got rid of the Garchomp, which we, like, as you mentioned, was the biggest threat in this match for us. So now we have to figure out how we're going to get rid of that Celesteela, which we do have the opportunity to Zing Zap it, which will do a good amount, but I think we need to get Fini out of here at this point.
Exactly.
He's going to actually go Vanillux, which probably, I was assuming Choice Scarf initially when I see Vanillux.
Yeah, that's a very good assumption. Yeah, I agree. It's almost certainly Choice Scarf here. Yeah, so yeah, Fini's got to get out, because if you look at it now, nothing can switch into Muddy Water plus Flare Blitz. We can actually beat the whole team with just Muddy Water and Flare Blitz, which is actually good that Togedemaru took the damage there. So we can Fake Out the Vanillux to make Arcanine take less damage, but I think it might be better to Spiky Shield.
I mean, Togedemaru dies to Hail either way, so.
Let's Fake Out Celesteela just because Vanillux isn't gonna do much damage to Arcanine, and let's get Arcanine in here. As long as he doesn't like Sheer Cold, because even if we get Frozen, which isn't like obviously isn't probable, but it's possible. Oh, we can't get Frozen. Never mind. Anyway, we don't want to give Celesteela a Beast Boost, and we don't want to give it Leech Seed, so let's just take it out and sacrifice Togedemaru.
Yeah, so Togi D is going to go down here to Hail or some sort of combination there. I'm assuming, like I said, the Vanillux is going to be Choice Scarfed. That's a lot of the times what I see them as, just Choice Scarfs Blizzards, sometimes Freeze Dry. They do get Icy Wind as well for speed control, but he's going to protect Celesteela, so it just keeps him from the Fake Out pressure, but it really wouldn't have mattered anyway. And then we're going to actually see that Sheer Cold, but he misses the Arcanine.
Oh, okay.
So that was, I mean, it's good that we didn't die.
That's true.
It's good that we didn't die. I mean, we'll take it. So now there's a couple different options. We could go Kartana and like immediately try to like threaten the Vanillux, assuming it might be Choice Scarf, but that also puts us in range for potential like getting hit with like a Flamethrower from Celesteela. We don't really know. Or we can go Tapu Fini and Muddy Water, and then Flare Blitz Celesteela. Okay.
Yeah, I think we should go Tapu Fini here. Okay, so I agree with you that it's almost certainly Choice Scarf. So Dan, who do you think he's going to Sheer Cold? Do you think he's going after Fini, or do you think he's going? I think he's going after Arcanine personally.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel like either way, I want to like just double attack. It's 30%.
I feel like he's going for. I know, but if it hits, we're in trouble. Like I think we should go for Muddy Water here, and I think we should call it a Sheer Colding Arcanine and go for Protect. Even though it's not as likely. Like if we lose Arcanine, we're going to lose this game. But if we can KO his Vanillux like without losing Arcanine, then we might still have a chance of winning.
All right, I'm gonna trust in Wolf here. We'll go for Protect with the Arcanine and see if he does Sheer Cold the Arcanine down. He does go for Sheer Cold, and he actually goes into Protect, so that was a good prediction. Who knows if he would have hit it, but we've had a lot of luck on this episode so far, so let's assume that he was gonna hit that. And he's gonna fire off a Leech Seed here and target down the Tapu Fini, and looks like we're just shy of a 2 KO. Unless that was a damage roll.
That's not ideal, but what we can do here is Huh. Okay, it's actually really annoying that we didn't do more damage with Muddy Water, but what if we could, because we could actually go into Kartana here if we wanted. We could switch Arcanine into Kartana to make sure that like we don't lose Arcanine, and even if we get hit with Sheer Cold, then we can just Extreme Speed next turn if we get Bomb. But...
Pretty sure he's going to protect Celesteela here.
You think so?
Yeah. I see no reason why he wouldn't, you know? Because it's like so low risk for him because he's trying to just like stall out and hit the Sheer Cold, so I kind of agree just going Kartana here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do Muddy Water and switch to Kartana because
yeah, we'll get a good damage roll too. Yeah, because Kartana really doesn't do much against these two either Pokemon. I mean, it beats Vanillux, but not if he hits a Sheer Cold. So
yeah.
It's so scary playing against like one-hit KO moves because it's like you can't do anything about it. It's just you just have to keep your fingers crossed. So he does protect Celesteela, which I kind of figured, just because there was like no risk there. And he's gonna connect the Sheer Cold, which is just kind of hilarious, really. But what we can do now is we put him in Extreme Speed range. So, assuming our Muddy Water connects to Vanillux, we do put him in Extreme Speed range, and we missed.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I mean, there's that, but it's fun.
I think this is actually like an okay position. We just need him to not hit the next Sheer Cold, and I think we'll be okay. Because this turn, I think we go for Flare Blitz, Muddy Water into the Celesteela, and as long as we don't lose our Feeny this turn, we'll put his Vanillux into Extreme Speed range, and then Feeny versus Arcanine should win us the game. So I think it's okay.
That's funny. It's always funny to see a Sheer Cold hit. You know?
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Like we said, it's, you know, Fissure, Sheer Cold, you see them used every so often. Like I saw some Laprases around with Sheer Cold. It's cool. Obviously, you know, you have to weigh out the risk reward, and I guess our opponent in this case just felt like that was his way to win this match, or put himself in a situation to win. But we'll go for the Flare Blitz into the Celesteela. We'll go for the Muddy Water here, which could pick up the KO on the Vanillux. It looks like it would be potentially a damage roll. He does Sheer Cold, and he misses, okay. So he's gonna go for Toxic now. And land that on the Tapu Fini. So this is going to be a game of like how long can we make this game last. But I think like we still have, you know, as long as our Muddy Waters connect here, we won't, like we could double KO here too if we get a good damage roll on the Vanillux. So we'll see. And it does get the roll. So wow. Flare Blitz will knock out the Celesteela, I'm assuming. Yeah, this is an offensive Arcanine.
That's a fast Celesteela. That's max speed timid Celesteela.
Yeah, that's good analysis. Like it did go first with the Toxic there. So we'll see what he has in the back. It's either going to be let's see, Coco or Nihilego. So
we already saw Arcanine.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's actually bad because he probably is going to have Wild Charge and be able to one-shot Finny here. So
no, we already saw Arcanine because we KO'd the Garchomp. Remember, he led Garchomp Arcanine.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It is Arcanine, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
So I think we lost.
I don't think he has Wild Charge.
I guess we'll find out, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Does he have Wild Charge or not, really?
Would have made sense for him to use it earlier. That's the only reason. So I think he protects here for sure. And let's just, Flare Blitz is actually strong. So let's go for Flare Blitz.
Okay, Flare Blitz and Muddy Water here. Recoil from Flare Blitz may put us into, he does have the Wild Charge. This may put us into our berry. No. So
no.
We just have to hope for like recoil to be in our favor here, I guess.
Yeah, he's fast, so it's not as bulky, but us being intimidated is not ideal, obviously.
I just get a crit,
he might be banned. I guess not. He probably didn't do enough damage with Flare Blitz earlier.
So that doesn't put us into our berry, and I don't think the hail's gonna end. So not really anything we do here. I think he just Wild Charges and wins.
Yeah, I think if he's not banned, I don't think he KOs because Wild Charge is actually really weak. But if he is banned, then I think we just lose. Yeah, so let's just Flare Blitz again. It's a silly situation because we need him to not have the berry, so like him being banned would be ideal. But if he does have if he doesn't have the berry, he probably is banned, and then like we'll just get KO'd by Wild Charge. So kind of like darned if we do, darned if we don't.
Yeah. So I mean, really, this game. Oh, he's actually getting Extreme Speed here, which may have been a pretty big mistake.
He might be a Assault Vest. He's super fast. He might have Bulldoze and be Assault Vest.
All right, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he's got the berry or not, but we'll connect to Flare Blitz here. Doesn't put him into berry range yet. We just keep Flare Blitzing, man, I'm assuming. Unless you think 2 Extreme Speed's better.
Let's Flare Blitz again, because if we crit, we might win. And then it'll come down to, he should win this one, but there's a chance for sure.
He Extreme Speeds again. And that he crits it. No, he doesn't crit us. Okay. So he wins if he Extreme Speeds again. Yeah, crit Flare Blitz.
Darn.
Just a bit shy.
That's pretty close.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't have PP up and like ran out of extreme speeds.
Nah, he only has 3. Yeah.
He only has 3. Yeah, he used him in his last battle. Maybe he'll misclick. No, he's gonna extreme speed. So he's gonna pick up the W here. So kind of a tough loss, but you know what do you think that we could have done better in that match aside from dodge a shield cold?
I think dodging a sheer cold would have been pretty good, personally, but I don't like honestly. I don't really feel like we made that many mistakes. It was just like the thing is like he was literally max speed speed boosting nature Celesteela, because without the toxic we would have I think we could have lived that wild charge, because it looked like he was not like he obviously wasn't choice band or a boosting item. So yeah, like he just had some weird sets. I think this is a team where like in 2 out of 3, once you know the sets, like I wouldn't be too worried about beating this in a best of 3, even if I did lose the first game. But yeah, like we just kind of got some, like, you know, he hit half of his sheer cold, right? He went 1-on-1 for sheer colds, and like if he missed that one,
and we did miss that muddy water on the Vanillux too, at one point, which would have basically prevented the sheer cold, keeping Kartana alive, allowing us to recycle out the Arcanine, potentially getting another Intimidate. So I think that's just Pokemon, as you mentioned. Like sometimes those matches happen, not a big deal, but it was awesome having you on, man. Thanks for being on the series again, kicking off our new Road to Regional series, guys. Big shouts to Wolfe Glick, guys. Please check out his channel, of course, in the description below. And it was awesome getting to use your team, man, and having you on here. I do have a question today, which I didn't mention, but what Pokemon do you guys want to see most in this series? I will be building my own teams as we kind of approach. Like, I'll have a bunch of guests kind of coming on over the next few weeks, but then, like, when we're, like, probably 2 weeks away from the event, which is about 2 weeks from now, I'll probably start to build a team and, like, you know, prepare myself. But there's QR code team galore for me to try ahead of time. But any final words, man?
No, I mean, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you winning the Connecticut Hartford Regionals.
Top 32 is my goal, man. I don't know about winning. Let's just try to make top 32. I think that'll be pretty sweet. So thanks again to Wolfe, guys, and I hope you guys are excited for the Road to Regional series to come back. I'm excited, man. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button down below if you enjoyed. Of course, check out my channel, subscribe, and check out Wolfe's in the description below. That's gonna be it for me, guys, for myself and Wolfe Glick. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.